Hello everyone, today we will be taking apart a microwave. You may want to do this for a number of reasons, such as selling the parts inside for money or using the components to build other cool things. One such project I have planned is to build a makeshift arc welder, so stay tuned for that in a future video. You will need a Phillips and flathead screwdriver as well as a pair of wire cutters. The wire I have is there to short the capacitor inside, but the same thing can be done by a screwdriver. Now onto the microwave, you'll want to take out anything loose first. The only thing I could find was a glass plate and its rolling assembly. And of course, make sure the microwave is unplugged. The next step is to remove the metal plates covering the internal components. At this point, you'll basically need to undo any screws you see. A power tool may be useful at this point because removing all these screws can become quite tedious. For my microwave, there were just 4 screws on the back. Next, I undid just 1 screw on the side of the microwave and that was it. After this, it should now be fairly easy to remove the outer covering. Try using a flathead to pry the edges open if the cover is stuck in place. You'll now be able to see all the electronics of the microwave. The good thing is that most microwaves will look very similar to this. Now the first thing you'll want to do is short the capacitor. Be careful when doing this, especially if the microwave was just plugged in. This capacitor can hold a strong enough charge to seriously injure or kill someone, so don't mess around. My microwave was unplugged for more than a year, so it was fairly safe. I wanted to experiment with just a piece of wire. You can short the capacitor by bridging the gap between the 2 terminals, then touching each terminal to the metal frame of the microwave. I found that using a wire was very awkward and would probably be more dangerous than using a screwdriver, so I would recommend using an insulated screwdriver to do the same thing. So now with that out of the way, the other components are completely safe to touch and play around with, as long as the power is off. To make life a bit easier, disconnect any power connections that have simple plug connectors. Wires without connectors we will just cut during disassembly. Next we'll remove the magnetron, which is the device that generates the microwaves to cook your food. It's a large box much like what I have here, but don't mistake the magnetron with the transformer. The transformer has copper coils sticking out. The magnetron doesn't. All you'll need to do is remove any screws attaching the magnetron in place and cut any wires that the magnetron is attached to. Next we'll remove the transformer, which basically helps supply the voltage and current needed to run the magnetron. It is quite a heavy object, and for my microwave, it is secured on the bottom with a few screws. Make sure you hold the transformer while undoing the screws to avoid damage to the other components when it falls. As always, feel free to snip any remaining wires. Next, by undoing a few screws on the outside of the microwave, I was able to remove the fan and the input power module. Here I discovered that the only reason my microwave wasn't working was because of a burnt power connector. It could have been an easy fix, but that's okay. Then decided to take off the control panel and the LCD of the microwave. Again, it was a simple process of just removing a few screws and cutting any stray wires. The next thing on my list is the capacitor, which is just affixed by a single screw. This could be used for doing all sorts of cool things, but be careful with it. As I've said, one of these things can kill you if you're not careful. Last important thing you could salvage from a microwave is the motor that turns the food as the microwave operates. This was located at the bottom of the microwave, so I had to flip it over and undo the screws on the underside. Once the sheet metal is open, you can easily take out the motor. I also ended up undoing the latch that holds the door in place, but this was really quite unnecessary as there isn't much you could do with it. And there you have it guys, a complete guide to disassembling your microwave. From this we were able to salvage some screws, a transformer, and a motor. You also get a magnetron that is extremely dangerous in the wrong hands, as well as a nice little board with a 4-number display. I also found a few push switches. And last but not least, you get a high capability capacitor as well as a plastic fan you could potentially use for ventilation. You could use many of these components to create cool things that would otherwise cost much more to build. I'm hoping to use some of what I salvaged to create other projects and experiments, so stay tuned for those in future videos. That's it for the microwave disassembly, and thank you guys for watching.